Good afternoon. We'd like to welcome you to the April 25th Capital Projects and Construction Committee meeting. And before we begin, I'm going to ask Charlotte if we have any special instructions for this meeting.
Yes, thank you, Chair Lyons. Thank you everyone for joining today's committee meeting. And it is a pleasure seeing you all. As always, please note that today's meeting is conducted in hybrid format of Zoom, webinar, and in person. Members of the committee who are attending via Zoom are encouraged to raise your hand when you have a comment, or would like to ask a question. And our staff will call on the members in the order of received requests. Members of the public can provide verbal public comment by raising their hands during the beginning of the agenda item.
Okay, I think it's time for the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm hoping that Angie Jimenez can lead us in the pledge. Angie, are you out there? We can't tell if she's there or not. All right, how about Mayor Moss? Can you lead us?
Certainly. Sounds correct. Yes, if you would please place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And as we go through the meeting today, we'd like everyone that's going to speak to introduce themselves. And that way the people that are online will be able to tell who's talking, because that's the extent of our technology. So we would like to have, Eric, if we could have the real-time tracking and roll call, please.
Chair Lyons, we are not going to display the real-time tracking, but we're going to do a verbal roll call, and then we'll provide a feedback at the end of the roll call.
Thank you.
Charlotte?
Okay, Chair Lyons,
I'm here.
Vice Chair Moss,
Here.
President Shevlin, absent. Supervisor Solis. Supervisor Solis. Okay, absent. We'll come back to her.
I think she's there somewhere. Yeah.
We'll come back.
Member Hepburn,
Present.
Member Jacobowski,
Present.
Member Mahmood,
Here.
Member Morales,
Here.
Member Jimenez. Let me make sure she's not in the waiting room. Okay. Absent. Member Sandoval.
Here.
Okay, Chair, we have quorum.
Very good. Thank you. Is there any reason to change the agenda order today, Mr. Shen?
Chair Lyons, we did not receive any, no, we do not have any emergency items that required actions prior to next regular meeting.
Very good. And what about public comment? Have we received any public comment?
Chair Lyons, we did not receive any public comment prior to this meeting.
Okay, and so no public comment on the consent calendar items, correct?
That is correct as
And
well.
what about online? Is there anybody with a hand up?
No, there's not.
So, okay, so there's no public comment either online or in person in the room. So do you want to tell us what the 3 consent calendar items are then?
Certainly there are, excuse me. There are 3 items under the consent calendar. The first one is the resolution making a specific finding in order for us to continue the meeting to be held via teleconferencing. And second item, item number 6 is the ACE construction project mitigation monitoring quarterly reports. And then the third consent, item number 7 under consent is the meeting minutes of March 28 of 2022 for your approval.
Thank you very much. And Charlotte, I just got a message from Angie Jimenez, and she says she's trying to log on through her phone. So I don't know if somebody could assist her, then she can get to the next portion of the meeting.
Okay,
Or-
we'll check in.
All right. Do any of the members have a question about any of the consent calendar items? And does any of our members online have a question about the consent calendar items?
No raised hands.
Okay, very good. So I will entertain a motion, please.
Motion. Second.
Okay, so it was motioned by Corey Moss and seconded by Tim Hepburn. Please call the roll.
Okay, Chair Lyons,
Yes.
Vice Chair Moss,
Yes.
President Shevlin, absent. Supervisor Solis. She's going to be joining. I got a message from Martin. Member Hepburn,
Yes.
Member Jacobowski,
Yes.
Member Mahmood,
Yes.
Member Morales,
Yes.
Member Jimenez, also having technical difficulties. Member Sandoval.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed.
Thank you. And do we have somebody working to get Member Jimenez in?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm working. with her
Oh
right
my
now.
gosh, you're doing three things at once. Thank you very much, Charlotte.
No problem.
Okay, so now we're at our action items, and the first action item 8, approval of construction operation and maintenance agreement with Union Pacific Railroad and the city of Montebello. Let me ask Eric for his report.
Thank you, Chair Lyons. I'm hoping that Member Jimenez will be logging in shortly. Let me proceed with my staff report. Staff is recommending the committee to authorize the executive director to execute the enclosed construction, operation, and maintenance agreement with Union Pacific Railroad and the city of Montebello for the Montebello Boulevard Grade Separation Project. This agreement is one of several pending agreements that will come to you for approval in the next couple of meetings. As part of our materials required for the California Transportation Commission's funding allocation scheduled in August of 2022. The City of Montebello Council unanimously approved the agreement on April 13, 2022. I would like to thank Member Angie Jimenez and also our former member Scarlett Parada for their support during the council discussion. Additional details are contained in the staff report, and I will be glad to answer any additional questions that you may have.
Thank you very much. I do wish that Member Jimenez was here to speak on this.
Yeah, I just sent her an email and I sent her the link that she can use to access from her mobile phone. So hopefully she can join right now.
Hopefully so. Do any of our members have a question on this action item? No. No?
Member Mahmood
Okay. Do you guys see a hand up there? Is it?
at the top.
Okay, very good. Member Mahmood has a question, and we're asking people to say who they are before they speak. So Member Mahmood, please say that you're Member Mahmood and then ask your question.
Hi, this is Diana Mahmood. And by the way, Charlotte, I can't show my screen. Just FYI. Just a real quick question, and that is there any change regarding the timing of UP's approval of whatever it has to do from the time that you prepared the staff report?
To answer Member Mahmood's question, the three-party agreement now is slated to be executed by this committee. And then we will have to wait for Union Pacific Railroads to sign, to approve the same agreement after they accept the 65%, 60%, 65% structural design. So it is prudent for us to move forward with our approval and continue to work with Union Pacific on their plan approval process. Again, they're a private entity. they probably don't have as much of a constraint in terms of legislative body to approve their agreement. So in terms of schedule, the answer is whether there are changes or not to the agreement, the answer is probably not going to be, because this is a standard agreement that has been used on all of our previous projects. But in terms of the final signed off by Union Pacific, we have to wait until they accept the plan in the next couple of weeks.
Right, and the latter was specifically my question, Eric. As I recall, the staff report indicated that that UP's approval of the design was anticipated sometime in May, and I was wondering if there was any change in the date of that anticipated approval from UP.
And the answer is we are optimistic, but we're also cautious. We have the entire team supported by our design firm, and we have been meeting with Union Pacific on a very regular basis. But I think as we have shared with committee before, we are working with an entity that we have to work with their schedule. They are committed, and we're optimistic. And that's all we can hope for. And hopefully that they will meet their part of commitment so that we don't miss any opportunities in submitting our necessary documentations to the commission.
I understand. Thank you.
Is there anybody else online that has a question? Or I understand that Member Jimenez has joined us. And would you like to make a comment at all about Eric coming to your meeting? Oh, and by the way, when you speak, please announce who you are so that everybody knows, because we can't tell otherwise.
So Member Jimenez had joined and she dropped off right now. So I'm not sure what happened.
Okay.
I'm going to email her again. But
I'm going to say she thought it went swell. Okay.
sorry about
Okay,
that.
that's right.
I'm here.
I have her-
Can you hear me?
Oh, is she on?
I'm so sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Please announce yourself and please make your comment.
Good afternoon. This is Mayor Pro Tem Angie Jimenez. I logged on a little late. I was having some difficulties logging in, but I heard you say that you're going to assume that I'm going to say it went so, and I thought it was a great presentation. Yes, no, it wasn't just swell. It was great. I have yet to follow up thoroughly also with, for me, it's important to talk to our staff, our city manager, our directors, and in planning, and but I was actually very happy to see that whole team there at our last meeting. So thank you for that, Eric.
Very good. I had heard from over here that it went well, so I'm glad that you thought so as well. Are there any other members that would like to make a comment on this item that are online? Anybody see a hand up?
No hands are
Okay, I
raised.
don't see any. Okay, very good. Then are we ready for a motion on item 8?
So moved. Solis.
Oh, yeah. Welcome, Supervisor
here.
Solis.
We're
There
here.
she is. I see
We
her
had-
face.
We had trouble too getting on. Sorry.
Oh,
Okay.
it's the times.
It must be
Okay.
Diamond Bar. What's going on here?
So it was moved by Supervisor Solis and seconded by Member Hepburn. So could we take the roll, please?
Sure. Okay. Chair Lyons,
Yes.
Vice Chair Moss,
Yes.
President Shevlin, absent. Supervisor Solis,
Yes.
Member Hepburn,
Yes.
Member Jacobowski,
I'm sorry, I had to take a city call during most of this, so I will not be voting on this item. I apologize.
okay, abstain. Member Mahmood,
Yes.
Member Morales,
Yes.
Member Jimenez,
Yes.
Member Sandoval.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed.
Very good. Thank you. We're now on to action item 9, revised agreement with Land Veritas Corporation for the 5760 Confluence Choke Point Relief Program Phase 1. And I will ask Eric for his report, please.
Thank you, Chair Lyons. In addition to the information contained in the staff report, I'm going to ask Senior Project Manager Renee Cornell to provide some clarification to the committee, and then we'll be available to answer any additional questions that you may have. Cornell, Renee.
Hello, is this on? Yeah, so during the last committee meeting, we came to you for approval to enter into an agreement with Land Veritas. After the meeting, when we proposed the credits to the Fish and Wildlife, they came back and they didn't accept it, so they wanted more. So with this staff report, we finally proposed the credits and they accepted to it. So this revised agreement includes the credits that Fish and Wildlife has accepted. And it is a little bit of more money. We were hoping they'd accept the first round of credits, but they did not. So other than that, that's the update I can provide.
I know Member Mahmood had a question about this at our last meeting. And I'm not sure if that question got answered. Member Mahmood, do you want to re-ask that or?
Thank you, Chair Moss. I did have a good conversation with Eric regarding this issue, and I understand that we really don't have flexibility at this point because time is of the essence. We need the tape from the regulatory agency, but I strongly encourage staff to the maximum extent possible where we are purchasing mitigation efforts, that we do so within the jurisdiction, within the footprint of LA County, so that our county residents receive the benefit of whatever environmental enhancement we're funding.
Totally agree with you. I think all of us, we're sending that money out and we'd like it to, to benefit, ourselves. Exactly. We're paying for it. Did you have any other questions on this at this time, Member Mahmood?
No, having been a public works lawyer, I understand staff needs the tape in order to not delay construction. So
okay.
That we have any choice other than to approve the contract. And I will note that Land Veritas is a WBE. I am pleased to see that.
Oh, I'm like, what's a WPE? Thank you very much.
Okay. It's a women-owned business.
Very good. All right. Does anybody else online have a question on this?
Yes, Madam Chair?
Yes.
Yes, this is Supervisor Solis. I just wanted to ask staff if in the future, when we're looking at offsetting, credits, if we're really working, say, with the County of Los Angeles, which is a really good point, because, we also have the Puente Hills landfill that was just turned over, and we have received assistance prior to the last, I think, meeting that we had here. We had gotten some funding, and it helps because it provides restoration for a landfill that's going to be reverted to a park, and there's much work to be done there. So I agree, just wanted to point that out, but obviously LA County does have a lot of need, and I would hope that the staff could work with our public works staff on any future projects like this.
Another good point. Totally agreed. Anybody else? I see no other hands online. Do we know? We do not. Okay.
No other hands.
Member Hepburn has a question.
Actually, it's more of a comment. I appreciate it for Mr. Shen going over with me last week. It's a little frustrating for me in it being in construction when you have an overrun of cost, but understanding the sensitivity, I'm in 100% support of the diamond bar issue, and we must push forward. But again, as I agree with Member Mahmood and also with Supervisor Solis that we need to be cautious, but yet we need to move forward. And it's, $180,000 is still $180,000. No matter how you shake it, it's still taxpayer money, no matter how you get credits for or not. So, and it's no fault of the construction entity. It's just the fact that they were conservative in their estimates. And, but we move forward. It's
Right.
important.
A point very well taken. Mayor Moss, did you have any
Just
comments?
actually, a little clarification. Well, because this is new, I think, to all of us, is it common that there would be that sort of negotiation that you would go forward with what you thought was, those were the mitigation credits you needed, that they would come back and is that normal?
It's my first time dealing with this, but from what I've heard, it is.
okay.
It is like you propose something and then either they accept it or they don't.
Like
And
not enough?
No.
No, okay,
keep,
right,
keep
yeah.
proposing.
got
Right,
it.
and we don't have any control over the not enough from what I've heard when we were talking about it. So it's kind of a tough position to be in.
Absolutely, I
Yeah.
agree. Thank you for that.
Yeah. thank you.
Okay, would somebody like to make a motion on this item then?
Sandoval
move to approve.
Second, Solis?
Okay, who was the first?
Sandoval, I think.
Okay, first Sandoval and second Solis.
Yeah.
Okay, could we call roll, please?
Sure. Okay. So Chair Lyons,
Yes.
Vice Chair Moss,
Yes,
President Shevlin absent, Supervisor Solis,
Yes.
Member Hepburn,
Yes.
Member Jacobowski,
Yes.
Member Mahmood,
Yes.
Member Morales,
Yes.
Member Jimenez,
Yes.
Member Sandoval.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed.
Thank you very much, Charlotte. Okay, we are on to our next update item, the City of Laverne Gold Line Pedestrian Bridge update, which we're excited to hear about. But before we do, have we had any public comments on this item?
Chair Lyons, we did not receive any public comments prior to the meeting, but let's just give one quick moment and make sure that there's no hand raised. Any? No, we don't have any comments. And Chair Lyons, I am going to introduce Mr. Sean Iger, Director of Public Works of the City of Laverne, to provide an update on this project today. And without further delay, Sean.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for. Yep, perfect. You got it. The better? All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you again for having me here. Again, my name is Sean Igo. I'm the Director of Public Works for the City of Laverne, and today I'll be giving you an update on the City of Laverne's pedestrian bridge project, which the COG has played a significant role in, and which we are greatly appreciative of. We also have Rodrigo Toro here from KPFF. He has been doing a phenomenal job in leading the design team and in assisting the COG and the city. Next slide, please. So this presentation will include a brief history, the design, and costs, while also providing some opportunity for some questions, hopefully. Next slide, please. Located on Arrow Highway between East Street, Fairplex, and White Avenue, the pedestrian bridge will allow pedestrian movement between the new station located on the north side of Arrow Highway and the Fairplex property on the south. With several events and potential development at the Fairplex site, allowing mass pedestrian crossings over Arrow Highway is essential to reduce vehicular traffic and safety. This project falls in line with the Old Town Specific Plan, is part of the Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District, and is supported by the COG. Next slide, please. As you can see here, there is significant opportunity to provide access to and from the University of Laverne, historic Old Town area, Fairplex, and the new L-Line station. Next slide, please. So the project goals include safe paths of travel, promote its use, provide multimodal transportation options, while providing an appealing and elegant look, while also providing connections to the Fairplex site. Next slide, please. As many of you know, we have been working diligently with the COG, KPFF, and many other stakeholders to bring this project together. From the notice to proceed to involving stakeholders as groups and one-on-one meetings, to then incorporating this feedback into working on the preferred alternative design. Next slide, please. So this slide provides some of the conceptual designs that were presented, which then turn into the preferred design, which is on the right. Several things that played a part in these decisions, including access to the station platform, ADA compliance, Metrolink compliance needs, safety access, and Fairplex access, to name a few. Next slide, please. All right, so we'll go through these a little slow, but these next several slides provide great conceptual views of what the bridge will look like from various vantage points. These first several slides provide a great bird's eye view of the project. So this is an overview of the entire project. So connecting the Fairplex on the left side and then the station on the right side. Next slide, please. So this is the entrance and exit point from the station. This is on the north side of Arrow Highway and will provide access to and from the station to the Fairplex site. Next slide, please. So this is an overview of what will be crossing Arrow Highway in addition to the spiral access point that connects to the Fairplex site. Next slide, please. So these next several slides will actually provide vantage points from either vehicular traffic or pedestrian traffic on what the bridge will look like. Next slide, please. So this is looking again at the exit point at the station, exit and entry point from the station side that will eventually connect over to the Fairplex side. Next slide. So if you're driving, this is a look going westbound on Arrow Highway. That'll provide an overview of what the Arrow Highway crossing will look like in addition to the spiral connection point to Fairplex. Next slide, please. So this here gives an overview of really the architecture and the safety railing that will be going along throughout the project. So you can see various architectural points, the stairway access in the middle of the spiral staircase, which meets ADA needs. Next slide, please. This is another vantage point of the spiral access point looking over Arrow Highway. Next slide, please. So these next two slides give an overview of basically what the lighted access points will look like, while also highlighting a lot of the architecture. Next slide. So this again highlights some of that architecture with the lighting that we'll have there. Next slide, please. All right. So as mentioned before, with significant pedestrian traffic expected to and from the Gold Line station and Fairplex property, we need to provide an enhanced pedestrian pathway. The bridge accomplishes this while also providing access to the Metrolink station and various other amenities. The elimination of the northern sidewalk is in an effort to reduce or eliminate pedestrian traffic along Arrow Highway on the north side only. This is an alternative. There is an alternative pathway that you can see on the top of the screen there, which is on the north side of the property in blue. That is an access that will be provided to connect to White Avenue and other amenities on that side. Next slide, please. All right, so this project has been deemed exempt under CEQA due to the federal earmark we received. NEPA analysis will be required. This requires federal agencies to assess the environmental effects of the project, which can include an environmental impact assessment process that includes environmental impact statements and environmental assessments. Next slide, please. So total cost of the project is estimated from $14.7 to $20 million. The large variation is mostly due to the undergrounding work that will be needed for this project. The range for the undergrounding is between 3.5 and 9.6 million, depending on the span of the undergrounding project. Only completing the undergrounding at the bridge location is estimated at 3.5 million, while undergrounding from East Street Fairplex to White Avenue is estimated at 9.6 million. These costs are elevated mostly due to the fact that there's distribution and transmission lines that need to be undergrounded. So there's significant work that needs to be involved. Some of the funding that we're looking at applying for and have received are ATP funds, the federal earmark for 4 million, our enhanced infrastructure financing district, and sub-regional measure M. We're currently working with the COG and other local agencies to secure funds through the ATP application for various multimodal projects throughout the San Gabriel Valley, which also includes this pedestrian bridge. Next slide, please. All right, so next steps and timing. The city of Laverne has already completed the process of establishing the undergrounding district. The city is actively working with the COG and SCE to determine if SCE may have some responsibility to underground portions of this, their area due to this project. Ultimately, if SCE was responsible, this could save millions of dollars for this project. We continue to work with stakeholders as part of this process, including our Active Transportation Committee, our public safety groups, the Gold Line Authority, KPJB, Fairplex, Foothill Transit, and various other utilities. Based on our current timelines, we anticipate final design to be completed sometime in the third quarter of this year. Once we have completed this process, we hope and completed our funding confirmations, we hope to go out to bid with this project along with construction. This project is expected to start sometime in the first quarter of 2023 and expected to be completed in the first quarter of 2025. Next slide, please. So with that, I will answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Igo. Is
Yes.
that right? Igo?
Thank you.
What an interesting design. I think everybody thought that. Yeah, it's very forward. I do have a question. What is the length of the bridge? If you said that, I didn't hear it.
I didn't give the length of the bridge. 500 feet. 500 feet?
Oh, that the total is 500 feet? Yes. Okay, I looked like it was miles. I was just curious.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sure we do have some questions. Do either of my colleagues that are present have a question? Do you have something to add, Member Hepburn?
I think we have some hands raised first. I think we'll let them do, and then I'll just.
Okay, we'll let you clean it up then. All right, let's see. Hands raised.
We have Supervisor Solis, Member Sandoval, and Member Jacobowski.
Okay, well, I think I see Member Jacobowski up there first. So go ahead, Member Jacobowski. I think you're muted.
Thank you. The design is fascinated and we're all excited about the future of the Fairplex, of course. And I have the same concern about the 500 feet. If one is to get on the pedestrian at the furthest point and take it the full length, do we have an estimated time that it will take for that person to get there?
I don't think we've calculated those numbers yet.
And it might be helpful just to look at endurance for somebody who may not be in the best of shape to be able to get there. I understand the traffic concerns that you have in the construction, but I think to really look at the practicality and hopefully it'll all pencil out. But I think that would be one feature to be sure to look at. And you had mentioned stakeholders to this point. Have you received any particularly interesting input from consumers who have a real interest in this?
Not anything that really stands out, but I think everyone is very interested in the project and the connectivity that it provides between the station and the Fairplex site. But beyond that, nothing that I would call interesting or that stands out.
Sure. And again, in closing, my only concern is that it is practical enough. There's obviously some elevation involved, plus the length, just to get a better handle on just how long it might take me to cover that area. Otherwise, very exciting, and thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Member Jacobowski. Supervisor Solis, you have a question?
Yeah, you know, you've all kind of asked questions that I was going to ask too, because I saw that the length was 500 feet. And obviously for disabled or people that have physical disabilities, even in a wheelchair, if they're on their own, I just wonder what kind of monitoring, or are there going to be any security available? And then what are the hours that this will be open, or is it open all the time? 7/24 in terms of the lighting. You mentioned lighting, but I just wonder in terms of safety. I think that would just something that I just wanted to ask. And I am supportive of the project, but if you could answer those questions, thank you.
Sure. Thank you very much. Yeah. So addressing the security side, we haven't gotten into the details of this is going to be accessed 24/7, but I think that is going to be the intent. So we're going to, anticipate that. Again, the lighting is going to be a huge component. And then also regarding the ADA access. So we did have that conversation as part of this process to make sure that we'll call it flat points throughout that bridge that people can actually stop at and get some rest because of the length of that. But again, we are working to try to make sure that people do have not only ADA access, but they have an area where they can stop.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Supervisor Solis. Member Sandoval, question?
Thank you, Chair Lyons. I'm really excited for this project. I think it's, when you look at the Foothill Gold Line and you think about all of the stops, this stop actually goes to a major regional property, the Fairplex, where you have over 300 events every year. So this isn't just some typical station. This is a station that's actually, when you think about the importance of getting people to a location wherever it is that they're starting, and then taking them to, I got to tell you, there was a classic swap meet, classic car swap meet this past weekend. There were thousands of people that were coming to this event. Now they'll be able to perhaps take, well, they're bringing cars, so they may not take, but there are people who are actually not in a car who may take the station, which is exciting. The other thing I was just going to share, and I certainly concur with Supervisor Solis, as well as Member Jakubowski, is interestingly enough, tomorrow, the city of Pomona, in collaboration with the county and the Fairplex, is starting what is called a Fairplex specific plan to begin to reimagine the entire 487-acre campus. Folks may be aware that of that 487, 15 acres are in the city of Laverne. And in fact, Laverne undertook a process, the Laverne Downtown Specific Plan, where there'll be some development, as I understand it, on that portion where the bridge will end. There's some housing development that's supposed to happen there. But if I want you to imagine for a moment the entire 487-acre campus will be part of that Fairplex specific plan with the city of Pomona. Nothing has been decided. This is obviously a public process, but I'm excited for it because I think that we could begin to perhaps reimagine all of those gates that separate the Fairplex from the rest of the community can begin to be opened up so that community members can access it in so many different ways. And also keep in mind that Benelli Park, which is a part of the county, is just literally hundreds of feet away. So it's an exciting opportunity, I think, for all of us to be able to figure out how to best move people into these important regional locations. That includes the ones that I just mentioned. So I'm a bit of a cheerleader here, so forgive me, but I am excited for it, and certainly can concur with just, once folks actually get to the station, how do they get over? At some point, you may see thousands of people on that bridge, and so I'm sure you're having to account for that as well in terms of the length of it. So anyways, that's just my comments. Thank you, Chair Lyons.
You do sound excited. Okay, I don't see any other hands.
Member Morales.
Oh, I'm sorry, Member Morales. It's
That's okay. It seems like my hand just kind of hides in the background. I also wanted to echo, I am excited about this particular project, but I was slightly concerned with respect to the practical and ADA access. It just seemed like it was such a long distance for folks to be able to travel through. So I just wanted to also make a note that I did notice that. The other note that I just wanted to mention, aesthetically, I saw a lot of, in the rendering, there's a lot of just kind of concrete, a lot of gray. And I'm wondering if maybe there's a different option to include more like eco-friendly kind of a visual appeal. It just seemed like everything was gray. And just kind of thinking through what my colleagues were just mentioning with respect to additional projects, if we visualize everything that is going to occur in that particular area, and there's already a lot of asphalt, there's concrete. I'm just looking to see if there's anything that's going to be added that's going to be eco-friendly and more green. So those were the two observations, but I'm excited about this project as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I see no other hands, right? Okay. All right, Member Hepburn.
Well, first of all, ditto on all those. And I'm sure we're going to make it pleasing to the eye as the Gold Line, L Line has with their structures and their bridges. It's been some amazing artwork, which is really cool. But, and the security part of it, yes, there will be security. I think we were talking about having call stations, just like the campuses do. But the main design was the mobility issue, which was anyone that had any disability or just regular
regular people on bicycles, walking, families. The width of the bridge was in concern, and then also the rest stops being the flat spots, which is so important for, people with wheelchairs. They can rest there for a while, look at the views. And I think one of the biggest things is the safety issue of Arrow Highway. Arrow Highway is just one of the very busy traveled areas, as Mr. Sandoval stated. It's going to be an issue, that not an issue, but a wonderful asset that we go from one side to the other, and the Fairplex from Laverne. And I just want to thank Supervisor Solis. I want to thank Supervisor Barger and all the other supervisors for our enhanced infrastructure financing district. None of this would have occurred without that. We were one of the first cities to do that, and we're champions on that. And I appreciate all your support, but also Grace Napolitano for her $4 million for this. We're getting a lot of support. It just kind of completes our Gold Line, L line situation with our brothers and sisters in Pomona, the tip of the Fairplex, with if we have a hotel, and the fair itself, which is starting back up May, which is wonderful. We're starting earlier, so it's cooler for us in Los Angeles County, which is awesome. And I want to thank Mr. Igo. He's taken this over from our previous Public Works Director, and the city of Laverne's excited. We're excited, and we really appreciate the COG support and all the board. This is going to be an absolute amazing thing for our city and other cities. For anybody that comes to Los Angeles County, the Fairplex, it's going to be one wonderful way to just kind of transition and go from the station over the top. So, but we thank you for all your support, and we're excited.
It certainly sounds like it. Now, this is a receive and file item, so no other comments, other than I would notice when I'm looking at the sheet on this, is that the project manager is a name I have not seen here before. So our Charlotte Stadelman, is that right? Okay, your last name is Stadelman, is showing up as our project manager.
Yeah, I took over about a month ago. Really excited. Been working very closely with both Sean and Rodrigo, and especially now that we're going to be pursuing NEPA, I think my environmental background will be very helpful. So I'm looking forward.
Well, nice move. That's good news.
Thank you.
Chair Lyons, Chair Lyons, if I can also supplement what you just said. Charlotte joined the agency just over a year ago. Her ability, just her ability to, not only her technical ability, but also her ability working as a team, really has earned our trust. So during the transition, she has earned our trust to manage this very high profile project, not only for COG, but also to work with Mayor Hepburn's city. So we're really pleased. And we have great hope on her, and we're very certain that she's going to do a great job for us.
I'm sorry, I completely agreed, and Member Hepburn has another comment.
And I would have been remiss if I did not mention you. We're excited to have you. This is going to be a great marriage of our partnership, and your background is perfectly suited for this. So we're very excited. Just so you know, our staff, our city manager, Mr. Igo, our director, and all the community development department. Also, we're very excited to have you on. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm excited.
That's a lot of love. Okay, let's go on to the major capital projects quarterly report. And Eric, before we have that, have we had any public comments?
Chair Lyons, we did not receive any public comments prior to the meeting, but let's take a quick pause to make sure that no one has a question, comments right now.
No raised hands.
No raised hands. And Chair Lyons, before I proceed with my presentation, I first want to express my sincere appreciation for each of our team members, not only in the capital projects department, as well as in the finance, planning, and also our administrative services. Including our general counsel as well. In the last quarter in particular, we overcame difficult transitions and also challenges as a team. We kept, and I'm very pleased to report that we are able to keep every major active capital projects on track. And that didn't happen easily, and it didn't happen overnight. And that really took a lot of commitment from every single one of us to work together. And so as much as we report to you and on paper, everything is according to schedule, I just want to go above and beyond to acknowledge the human side of it, of pulling everything together to execute what we're being hired to do our job right, and safeguard the public interest as well as public dollar. And I also want to report to you that we work very, very closely with Caltrans and California Transportation Commission staff on the extension request for allocating the funding for Turnbull Canyon Grade Separation Project. The staff from Caltrans and the CTC, they have not only provided a lot of guidance, they have ushered the process, and we're very, very optimistic. The item will be placed on the commission's agenda for May 17 or May 18, and we expect to receive approval by the commission with the CTC's approval on Turnbull Canyon, that we would have additional 12 months to complete all necessary documentation so that we can then receive the final funding allocation. In parallel, we're going to the commission in August for the Montebello Grade Separation Project, which is the next step where Turnbull Canyon will be experiencing. So in August, we will be presenting all of our documentation to California Transportation Commission in order to secure all the state funding on the Montebello project. So with that, I want to share with you is that a lot of work that is being pulled together, but with very, very committed team members from all disciplines. And lastly, I also want to point out that it is my plan to introduce a new way of presenting our quarterly report starting in the next fiscal year. Again, what you have in the last many years, the format works. I would also like to introduce more of informatic dashboard display, where information will become even more relevant and easily digestible for non-technical audience. So stay tuned. We'll continue to fine tune, but I thank you for your guidance and the patience with us to allow us to make those incremental changes. Otherwise, unless you have a specific question on a specific project on the quarterly report, I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have, or that concludes my presentation on this item.
Thank you very much, Eric. Are there any questions online? I don't see any hands up.
No raised hands.
Okay. Have my colleagues here in person any questions? No. I have one thought about the Fullerton Road grade separation and closing the intersection for the 25 days. So I think it's really important that, we meet that deadline. And I think, we're doing great, but we have a little credibility issue, I think, still. So what I'm wondering is, when we meet that deadline in 25 days, can maybe you email all of us and just say, 25-day deadline met? I just think that, yeah, we did it. Yeah, and we did it here in the room. I just think that would give all of us kind of a warm, happy feeling if we could do that.
We certainly will. And Gary Cardamone will be, during next presentation, Gary Cardamone will provide additional update on Fullerton, the Fullerton project. He will also provide you with and a recap on what had happened in the last 55 hours and going forward in the next 14 to 17 days. And it is also our plan that once the street reopens in May, we plan to have an event with the committee and possibly with supervisor at the job site to provide some an opportunity for the public to see what the progress is being made. But we definitely will keep you updated as we go along.
Great. I think that will be super. Okay, so I see no hands raised. So let's go ahead and move on. Let's see. are we at the Director of Capital Projects monthly report, or are we going to do the project managers
I will do a
active
quick,
projects?
I will go ahead and provide a quick
your monthly
update on
report.
on Director's monthly report.
And we don't have any public comments on this either, right?
No public comment.
Okay, thank you very much. Go ahead, Eric.
So on the, as we had just discussed, that Gary Cardamone will share with the committee about the ongoing closure at Gale Avenue and also Fullerton Road in a couple of minutes. In addition, that I also want to point out that during our next committee meeting, immediately after our next month committee meeting, we would like to extend the invitation to all committee members to visit our job site right across the street at Diamond Bar Golf Course. So with that, I know I have suggested to the chair to remind the committee, but I just want to share that with you, that that across the street Diamond Bar Golf Course Improvement Project is another very important project for us. We'd love to share with you our progress, and we'll continue to provide feedback in writing as well as in person.
Thank you.
And with that, if no additional question, this item is to receive and file.
Okay, so then I see no questions on this item. So let's go ahead then and get to the active construction project updates by project managers. And have we received any public comments on this?
No public comments.
Okay, very good. Take it away.
Great. Thank you, Chair. The batting order is Renee Cornell will provide an update on the Durfee Avenue grade separation project and also the Diamond Bar Golf Course Improvement Project. Followed by Gary Cardamone for providing an update on the Fullerton grade separation project, and also lastly conclude with the Fairway grade separation project. And once again, we want to emphasize, and we want you to hold your calendar, May 25th, Wednesday, is going to be the Durfee Avenue grand opening. We really wish every committee member can join us on the job site. So with that, Renee.
And on the calendar, I guess you can see what.
Yeah, hello. So right there in the background, you see the rendering, and then the next photo, you'll start to see it's starting to look a lot closer like the rendering. So in this picture, we're pouring the lean concrete base. So the way it works is the structural section is you have the dirt, which has been graded and compacted, and then you put one layer of concrete, which is lean concrete base. And then lastly, you put what you see out on the surface, Jpcc. So next slide. So in this slide, after we pour the lean concrete base, now we're pouring the final concrete. And as of last week, we finished all the concrete. There was a cement shortage in the last couple of weeks. It kind of impacted us a little bit, but we already set the deadline. We're like, oh my God, what do we do? So we were thinking of buying cement bags and and providing the concrete ourselves. It looks like we were able to get concrete on the weekend. So yeah, in this photo, it's starting to look a lot like the final rendering. And then the next slide, we're doing the final touch of the landscaping. So hopefully when we have the groundbreaking, you'll see a lot of the landscaping that's up and running. That concludes my report for the Durfee, and I can answer any questions.
Okay, do we have any questions on Durfee at this time?
No raised hands
No
online.
raised hands.
Yeah.
Nothing here. Okay, go on then.
Huh?
Rivera, so I don't know if you want to.
Maybe. Yeah.
Next slide. So for the Diamond Bar Golf Course construction.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I gave it to Diana. So
Yeah.
She'll.
In this slide, that's the new storm drain box, which will be used for drainage on the golf course. And as you can see, it's already reached strength, and we already have a big compactor on top of it. So that's good. Next one is the existing golf cart paths. We've been removing that. So it's kind of a sad photo, right? It's this nice golf course and we're removing it, but it'll look a lot better once we're done with it. And the next slide is grading. If you drive by the freeway saw, you'll notice a lot of the grading has been going on, and that's to make room for the golf course reconfiguration. And that concludes the presentation for the Diamond Bar Golf Course.
Okay, I see Member Mahmood has her hand up.
Yes, thank you. Renee, with regard to the stormwater, I assume that's a retention box.
Is there any potential for reusing the stormwater for golf course irrigation?
We can take a look at it, but you mean extra irrigation like runoff, it goes into the storm drain system? I believe throughout the golf course project site, there is storm drain inlets.
Right. So I'm inquiring whether there's any potential reuse of the accumulated stormwater for irrigation purposes right there on the project site.
We haven't taken a look at that, but we can discuss that with the county parks and recreation. If some of the runoff, they can probably potentially reuse it for irrigation. We can bring that question up.
Yeah, we're in a 1,200-year historic drought in the greater Western United States. And I don't think there's any consensus that things are going to get better. So I think we absolutely should look to maximize reuse of water whenever economically feasible, economically and scientifically, because I know even for an irrigation, it still has to comply with the County Department of Public Health standards. Given the cost of water, I really think we need to be very mindful of each and every opportunity to recycle water as those opportunities present themselves.
Member Mahmood, if I can answer this question for Renee, I think it's a good reminder that we are the construction unit. We deliver the project based on the specification that has been approved by designer and within the firm budget. So I think to the extent possible, including the roundoff, if it is not altering the design, we will be glad to bring your concern, your suggestion to the ultimate operating unit, which is the golf course management, and also the owner, which is the park. At this moment, our team is delivering the project based on what the contract says. And I think I will be a little nervous to start making promises that we will have the ability to change how it will function going forward. But your suggestion definitely is something that we should all be mindful. We will be glad to share your concern with the owner, which ultimately will be the county parks.
Thank you, Eric, particularly as if we increase the pace of construction projects that we administer and we have the opportunity to provide review of the design before it becomes finalized. It's just something critical that we're all going to have to be more mindful of for all of our construction projects for the reasons that I stated.
We totally agree with you. Thanks.
Okay, I see Supervisor Solis has her hand up.
Yes, thank you. I just want to thank Director Mahmood for raising that issue, and certainly anything that our staff can do to work with you. We will certainly work with Parks and Recs and Department of Public Works, because we may be able to find out if there's ways through Measure W or other types of funding that might be made available and figure this out if necessary. I understand we don't want to change the direction of the project, but I do agree we should be looking at how we can conserve during this drought that we're in. So if anything, we'll make our staff available in our departments. So thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Very good. Does anybody else online want to make a comment or have a question? Okay, seeing none. Anyone here on site? No? Okay, then we will go on to our next update, which will be Fullerton Road.
So I want to make sure Gary Cardinal, is he on the line? Okay.
He's
Gary,
online,
please proceed.
Gary.
I am here. Thank you, Eric. Chair Lyons, members of the committee. It looks like we're going to talk about Fairway Drive. I do have a couple of photos that depict some of the activities that have gone on in this last quarter. This first photo is showing a large transition structure. We're pouring concrete in the invert or the bottom slab of that transition structure, which connects to the county's storm drain. This is a critical element of the Fairway project. And this shows this very large underground transition structure into the storm drain. The next photo, as you can imagine, these grade separations have very large retaining walls. And this is a photo of retaining wall 9, which is on the north side of the UP right-of-way, west of Fairway. And this shows the various stages of the retaining wall, the rebar and the forming, and getting ready for concrete placement. So the latest schedule for Fairway is showing opening Fairway sometime around the end of the year. And we're making good progress towards opening this grade separation around the end of the year. Happy to answer any questions on Fairway. If not, we'll go on to Fullerton.
All right. Does anybody online have a question on Fairway?
No raised hands.
No raised hands. Okay, my colleagues in person. No? Okay, let's go on.
All right, Fullerton Drive. As you know, we had the notice to proceed issued to the contractor on December 31st, and there's been a lot of activity on Fullerton, on the Fullerton project since that time. Eric mentioned the closure that we had over this past weekend, and we've been preparing for that closure for the last several weeks. In concert with Caltrans and the City of Industry, we were able to obtain approval for a ramp closure, a 55-hour ramp closure over the weekend, as well as a 25-day closure for through traffic on the intersection, which also began this past Friday. So we had a very successful closure. There were no serious incidents. We were able to accomplish concrete paving and asphalt paving from the bottom of the westbound off-ramp onto Fullerton. What you're looking at here is a photo of Gale Avenue looking westbound. I'm sorry, this one is looking eastbound towards the intersection. This closure, the 25-day closure, will allow us to perform a lot of critical, pardon me, a lot of critical work, particularly the excavation to lower the grade at the intersection. Utility relocations, continue with the retaining wall work, and in particular doing the concrete paving work. The next photo, I believe, will be westbound on Gale, and you can see some of the new concrete pavement at the lowered elevation. You can also see in the background some of the retaining walls constructed at the northwest corner of the intersection. At the end of the 25-day closure, you will see the traffic reopened on Gale Avenue on the north side of the street. The concrete paving will be completed. We'll continue to work on the south side of Gale and continue to work at the southeast corner near Cathay Bank, continuing the retaining wall work at that corner. And but the intersection will be opened to through traffic, and that is scheduled for May 18th at the end of the 25-day closure. Our outreach folks have done a lot of work in preparation for this. I want to commend Maria Cano and some of her folks. They've talked to all the businesses. We've issued flyers to personally issued flyers to all the businesses affected by this closure, as well as the emergency response people. I did want to also mention we have cameras in place so you could get time-lapse photography if at any time you want to see what's happening at the intersection. We have 3 rooftop cameras mounted on the building at 1210 Fullerton. And this week we'll have a 4th pole mounted camera that will be solar powered. So you will be able to see what's going on at the intersection at any time. I'll wrap it up there, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much. I think that Vice Chair had a comment.
Yes, I do. Thank you very much, Chair. Couple things, actually. First, I want to, on behalf of the City of Industry, I want to thank everybody here for your collaboration and your communication and everything that everybody is doing as far as, reaching out to the businesses and sending those letters and working with city staff as well. So that we can continue to keep this timely as possible. I wanted to ask if when we do those types of letters or communications with the businesses, do we receive any responses back or how we follow up on any communications that may come back from the businesses when we have reached out to them?
Thanks, Mayor Moss. That's a very, very good question. Usually our constituents will not hold back. So when we reach out to them and inform them about upcoming closure, they would tell us almost immediately. When we do receive communication through emails or written media, we will then we'll forward information to our outreach team. The goal is to ensure that we do as much personal engagement with them in providing flyers, utilizing different languages to make sure that there's no miscommunication. One thing I also want to emphasize is that during this 25-day closure, local businesses are still open, and that's where we want to help the local businesses. Although the road is cut off during the closure, we still wanted to make sure that those businesses are not going to be or less impacted to the point that no patronage at all. So I was out in the field this morning, and I apologize to dress very casually because I wanted to make sure that what is happening out in the field is what we have planned. And I also I share with Chair Lyons right before the meeting. I think it's very important for us as the owner, as the construction unit, to continue to recognize and remind our constituents who are taxpayers. There are so many great jobs being created. I see those brothers and sisters in orange vests, and they are challenging work, they are physical work, but they're also skilled workers. And I think that's important that we don't lose sight that the investment that we're making here really is benefiting people like you and I to bring good paychecks back to their family. So for me, it's very important for me to be one of them as frequently as possible on the field, rather than staying in the office being a bean counter. So I want to relay that sentiment that I have. We're all very committed to the work, but it's important that work is being done. And it's a process that we're helping elevating a lot of family to the next level, wherever they are.
And then just one more thing, and this is just strictly an observation on my part. I don't know if you have or if you will, but receive any feedback from the drivers that are traveling, coming from, say, Colima, because today I made a point to drive from Colima to get to the 60 freeway. And, mainly the holdup is, so it took me about 18 minutes from Colima to get onto the 60. But I think the main thing was, you've got the 2 lanes that are narrowing into one, and that left lane, it's like there's no consideration whatsoever. So they're trying to cut everybody off. And so I saw a lot of that. I saw a lot of frustration already happening from those individuals that were in that lane. So again, just observation on my part.
And thanks for that feedback. And Gary and I will follow up with our construction manager on the job site and relay the message and ask them to review the traffic control plan and make necessary adjustments.
That's a tough one. I don't know what can be done, but I just wanted to make sure I shared it. So, but thank you very much.
Vice Chair Moss, I want to make sure I understand what you were saying. Were you saying that when you got to the area till when you got onto the freeway was 18 minutes?
So when I turned from Colima onto Fullerton Road, it was approximately 18 minutes.
To get onto the
to
freeway.
60. Yeah.
Yeah,
to get
so
on the
if we
60.
can, traffic wise, if we can do anything to improve that and improve the frustration.
Yeah.
Because this was probably at 11 o'clock, right?
No, it was right at, yeah, you're right.
I mean,
Sorry.
it wasn't,
It was
my
about
point is, it wasn't
11:15.
at 7 or 8 or,
Yep.
high peak.
Nope, it was midday.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, thank you for your research. Okay. I see Supervisor Solis has her hand up.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to add that I know that ACE doesn't have a business disruption fund like Metro does, but I would ask if you could coordinate with our Economic Opportunity Department. It's a new department, but nonetheless, it addresses issues regarding assistance to small businesses. So even if they're going to be inconvenienced for 25 days, even if during the pandemic, they've suffered from loss because of any of this, I'm sure we can try to identify our teams to go out there and speak to them also, to maybe hold a fair, some kind of a resource fair, and let people that can speak their language talk to these individuals. I would be more than happy to get my staff to work with you, Gary, and with the team.
That sounds really good. Gary and Eric will probably take advantage of that. I'm thinking for sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else online have a question or comment?
No raised hands.
Okay, I see none. All right, and I think that was a receive and file. Okay, so now we are at announcements and member comments, and let's go online first and see if we have any member comments or announcements.
No raised hands.
Very good. How about here in the room? Any extra comments?
No, nothing.
No?
At this time. Thank you.
Member Hepburn?
Thank you for hosting. It's very close for me, no problem.
Here, it's close for me too. Okay, thank you very much. So in terms of a short chairs report, again, I'd like to welcome and I hope to meet in person our Montebello Council member, Angie Jimenez, and hopefully in the city of Diamond Bar next month so we can do our tour together. You should all have received notification from staff regarding the upcoming election of district representatives and alternates. I think that takes place in May, right? That's to be on the committee. Is that May? Okay, so you need to respond to that memo though. Okay, and our next meeting will be at a regular meeting on Monday, May 23rd at noon here, as long as nobody objects. And then we'll be going from here over to the golf course to get an in-person technical tour. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm sure we'll have good weather this time.
Wear sensible shoes.
Wear sensible shoes, right? And then that same week is the grand opening of the Durfee grade separation. So mark that on your calendar as well. It's going to be very busy. And then our committee will have our election for officers in June. So at our June meeting. And finally, I think we should all recognize that Eric was invited by the Eisenhower School of National Defense University to provide a virtual lecture for senior military officers and senior U.S. government civilians on the Southern California intermodal freight and logistics.
Wow.
So yeah, it's pretty heady stuff. I think, among other things, Eric was asked to share about, our programs here as well as the ports, and it's a real feather in his cap, and we're not surprised, we're pleased, and nice work. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, congratulations indeed. Okay, so that concludes my report. Everybody have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next month, if not before. Thank you. Adjourned.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.